What up, it's Sweez, and today I joined the Pioneer family. Well, not today, it was yesterday. I got too excited and set it up back there. So I wanted to make this video to document my journey. I've been DJing on Traktor for over 10 years now, and it's time that I had a Pioneer setup. It's 2024, we all got to play on CDJs, and I feel like it's just that time. I bit the bullet, bought the Flex 10. You can buy whatever you want. You don't even have to use Rekordbox, but that's what I'm going to use during my journey. I think it's just going to save me a step in exporting USBs, but no problem with Serato. I think it's a great software. They have a lot of cool features and tools. It should be a similar process, but sorry I can't help you farther than what I'm going to be doing with Rekordbox. So we're going to take it over to the MacBook.
Alright, so here's my DJ laptop, and I just want to show you quickly that it's nothing impressive, it's nothing too crazy. It was a refurb, but it gets the job done. When I got a new laptop, I know Mac handles audio better, so I don't have any issues, let me put it that way. And if you're going to try and run Traktor and Rekordbox at the same time, it's going to be totally fine on a Mac. I can't speak for Windows, but I just did a gig on Traktor last night. I plugged in the new Flex 10 right before, and there were no problems. It handled both flawlessly. You can use a software like Lexicon or DJ Conversion Utility. I just want to show you those right up front, but this is not a sponsored video. I'm not going to do a lot of these, if at all. Just want to show you that those are options, but what I'm going to do is, I think the best way to do it, I think what you want to do is do them playlist by playlist, and you're going to lose some stuff, but if you don't have a lot of cue points set or a lot of comments set, you're going to be just fine, I think. If you export by playlist, and if you only use a few playlists, you're going to be fine. So here's my Traktor, and yeah, I got a lot of stuff in here. All my club stuff organized by genre and attributes and stuff. And this is why I am not moving everything over at once. I am focused on the Sweez stuff. I'm going to keep doing my club gigs out of Traktor for a little while because I just think I'm more comfortable there. I'm going to be able to move between playlists a lot quicker. This is mainly for CDJ use and for my Sweez gigs. So I'm really focused on all these playlists down here. So let's export a playlist and start there. This is one that I'm going to use very soon. It's not all Grouch, but there's a lot of Grouch in here. So let's start with this IDM side playlist. I'm just going to right click or double click on a Mac and export playlist. Documents is fine. It puts all the extra stuff in there. I'm trying to get better about importing my playlists with just a little bit of text in there. You'll also see that I use exclamation points a lot to put them up to the top of the playlist. I don't think I'm going to need to do that in Rekordbox, but we'll see. We'll see what I like to do. Copy, format M3U. We don't need to copy tracks. Just hit OK. By the way, I don't even have that much of storage, and I'm running everything off of an external hard drive. It runs totally fine. I haven't had no issues in the little bit that I played with Rekordbox, and definitely not on Traktor, not doing the club gigs. But it's just something, if you need to run an extra external storage, I've had no problems. Let's open up Rekordbox. Now, the big debate is, when do you update Rekordbox? Today's not the day. I don't know when the day is, but I know today is not the day. And I'm getting better at navigating Rekordbox, but I want to be in playlists because that's how I organize most of my stuff. We're going to go to File, Import, Playlist. I put them all in the Documents folder for now. And they used to all be down there, but I've gotten better at naming them, so there's my IDM Sci folder, or playlist. Notice I didn't copy tracks, I didn't do any of that. I'm trying to not have a lot of duplicate tracks on this computer anymore, because there's a lot of tracks in general, so let's not have a lot of duplicates. But everything loaded fine. Everything is in this IDM SCI folder, and it is being analyzed right now. Right there, analyzing 282 tracks. Now, if you, like me, have a giant collection and you do have a lot of cue points, then you might want to look at using something like Lexicon or DJ Conversion Utility. But I don't have a lot of cue points. I put the cue point on the downbeat and maybe one on another part of the phrase if there's a pickup, but I don't use a lot of cue points. So I don't think I am using any conversion. Just import the playlist, wait for it to analyze, and I think that's all you need to do. Let's take one of these tracks that analyzed. Wow. And hey, if you're coming from Traktor, the shift left arrow, that's the same shortcut for loading. So if I shift right arrow, look at that. It's the same shortcut. So you're already going to be used to things, and I feel like it's going to be once we get onto the tables and the decks that we're going to see a little bit of difference. But right now it's running perfectly. Look at the grid, it's perfect. Sometimes I've had Traktor on these DAW songs which are made to a specific tempo. It cannot get these grids right. But man, these new Rekordbox updates, every grid has been on the money. The only time they're not is if the song actually has a tempo change. And you can program that in Rekordbox, but that's not going to be this video. We will, I think, now go ahead and take it over to the decks. All right, here we are at the decks a couple days later. Had to take this thing over to Pretty Lights, test it out with some friends. Also a little house party for my other friend. It was a blast. Super easy to get everyone on this thing, even though it's not CDJs. Just plugged in USBs and go through the devices on Rekordbox. Work basically the exact same. It was fun. So let's get into the differences. And there are a lot. Actually, first, I probably should have said this at the beginning. You don't need a subscription for Rekordbox or Serato. There's something called hardware unlock. And that means all the features that are supposed to be on your board come included with whichever version of the DJ software you're going to use, Rekordbox or Serato. They're going to unlock whatever features you have with the board. So you can record, you can use stems, you don't have to pay for the subscription. That confused me for a long time. So hopefully that helps somebody. Let's get into the actual differences, which are a few. The first one that I noticed right off the bat when I'm playing with Rekordbox as opposed to Traktor is a hot cue functionality. As you'll notice, they are not gated. The only thing that is gated is the actual cue button. And then I think there's a way to get around that and change it in the settings, because what I really liked on Traktor was being able to switch from a gated cue to a regular cue depending on the play state. If it was paused, it would be a gated cue. If it was played, it was not. But I'm just going to get used to it. I think it'll be fine. I don't use a lot of cues. I'll just mash a cue button like a regular DJ. So that's not a big deal. There are less cue types, I noticed. There's a couple other ones. There's some for mix points, so you can do the auto mixing. But there is not a load marker, at least that I found, and that was my favorite type of cue in Traktor. Wouldn't even worry about hot cues, set the load marker, boom, good to go. But, you know, just going through all the songs once, I'll set a hot cue and I should be fine. I wanted to start fresh anyway, so that's where I'm at. All right, sync and key. That's one that's not too different, but if you don't know what you're looking for, it can be very different, because the way I think of it is they try to emulate old record players, and when you would have a song speed up and go down, it would change the pitch, but I don't want to do that. You can, some people do it, some people automatically change the pitch. There is a key sync on here, but I prefer all my songs to be in the key that they were written in. Just as personal preference. If I'm going to pitch up an acapella, a semitone up or down, I used to do it in Traktor. I think I can do it in Rekordbox, but I don't do it a lot. So I might do it beforehand. We'll see. So I just leave master tempo on. That's what it's called. And it's confusing because it says tempo, or it's called tempo, and it affects the pitch. But back in the day, they were one and the same. So another difference is the way that you would, I guess, quote unquote, exit sync. So I got sync on, I crank up the tempo, turn sync on over here. Now, what happens is, if I try to adjust this, it does nothing. Even if I turn off sync, it does nothing. What you want to do, and again, it's kind of emulating what old CD players used to do, you have to go all the way up. I'm 116, I'm +6. So I gotta go up on the tempo fader to right about where +6 is. And it is gonna adjust the tempo. You just wanna be slow on it. If you're super wide on your tempo, it's gonna be incredibly slow. But +6 is, I think, about where my grid is. So I'm just gonna go all the way up. I grabbed it, I saw it move very slightly, and now I can bring it back down. What I would recommend is resetting, if you use sync like I do, reset that for the next DJ so they don't have to play around with the tempo and potentially screw up the dance floor. Not a huge deal, but it pisses off a lot of DJs. So learn, if you're gonna use sync, learn how to use it. And I'll tell you right now why I use mine. It's because I play drums. The short of it is, I like to sync all my stuff up and sync my drums, but what I noticed is the effects don't sync the way I want them to. So I am at 112.79. Get out of that sync. Find it. Turn off sync first. I want to be at 110 exactly. Now if I go to my beat effect, all right, now I'm at 110. Get there. What I learned is the sync, the tempo sync doesn't work if I have it on auxiliary deck. What I learned is the tempo sync doesn't work if I have it on an auxiliary deck. But anyway, here is what I'm trying to get to. Well, I'm not going to spend all day messing with that. What would happen is I would get an effect and I would have my live drum and it would delay in time for about 4 bars. Then after 4 bars, it would completely lose tempo. So if you have any tips on that, I would happily accept them. That is one thing I wish Rekordbox did better than Traktor. You can have one beat effect and one sound color effect. What was nice on Traktor is I could have different effect on this drum, different effect on my other drum, and even another effect on a J or something. But the effects, I think, are a little bit more quality on Pioneer. They're at least what everyone's used to hearing. I don't know. The effects are different, but they're easy to learn. So I think that's the last thing that's different. Let's take it back to the other desk and wrap it up.
All right, we're back over here, and I remembered why I couldn't get all the effects working. It was a couple reasons. Number one, I had my speakers turned off, and I was listening through my laptop, so wouldn't hear the live drum that way. And the other reason is, I mean, I didn't have my headphones plugged in, but even if I did have them plugged in, the effects don't come through the headphones, and that kind of bugs me. They definitely did on Traktor. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'll look into it more. I'm probably doing something wrong, especially when it comes to the effects. I remember when I was playing in the club that they had the DJM, or maybe it was a A9. Either way, the effects were easier to tap into tempo, and maybe it stayed in tempo longer. I'll make another video if I find out that it's a serious problem and I can't get around it on whatever mixer I'm at. The Pioneer effects are pretty solid. The Traktor effects were also solid. It's just a little getting used to one over the other. So the main thing about DJing is you got track A and you got track B and a mixer in between to mix the two together. And it's really, in my opinion, not that hard to transition between Traktor and Rekordbox. You just have to know the little tiny things that get you from A to B a little bit smoother. Let me know what you find. I am always open for information. Hit me up. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.